علي وغرامي علي مولى علي مولى علي أنا حبي علي وغرامي علي مولى علي مولى علي أنا حبي علي وغرامي علي مولى علي.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome to
The Haqq Project.
We're so excited to be back for episode 3.
And it's a new year. And
whoa. So much excitement that comes with the new year. And there's a lot of new things we have going on here.
New year, new sign. New year, new merch. I just dropped the news.
She just dropped the news. We have new merch coming out. I mean, our merch right here.
Yeah.
Inshallah, we're very excited to be actually dropping it for you guys to be able to purchase. And it's very exciting because there's so much that comes with why we're putting it out and
what everyone will represent if they do choose to purchase it. Yeah. We just wanted to share a little bit about what you will be representing when you wear the Haqq Project, as in why should you even consider getting this hoodie. Mm-hmm. And what Masarrat and I really think that the Haqq Project truly represents is the youth, and the youth struggle not only, but also the youth's ability to, get past every struggle and difficulty that they go through, through their determination, especially through holding on to the rope of Islam and holding on to Allah's guidance. Yeah. And I think, when we walk around with this hoodie, that's exactly what we feel that we're representing. We're representing that there is strength in the youth.
We're determined to gain the knowledge and learn and make that effort to better ourselves and better the future. And it's a beautiful message. And we're working towards spreading
the Haqq,
the truth. And learning the truth and understanding the truth and then working to spread it. And as we have our favorite statement that Sakina had made in the first episode.
Yay. We are at the Haqq to spread the Haqq.
At the Haqq Project.
At the Haqq.
Wait, what was it? Spread the Haqq
It is our Haqq.
Yes.
To spread the Haqq at the Haqq Project.
It is our Haqq to spread the Haqq at the Haqq Project.
And that's on Haqq.
We can put that on. We love that. Inshallah, the platform to purchase will be in the description of this video as well as on the Instagram. And we will do pre-orders. So you have about 3 weeks to pre-order it. And then after that, everybody will receive their hoodies.
Any of the profit that we make from selling the hoodies will go directly towards supporting this podcast and the recording and resources needed in order for this podcast to continue. Yeah.
For as long as possible so that we can afford things like this.
When we are at a stage where, we're making enough profit, if that is the case, if merch goes viral, then we are hoping to, give some of that money to the needy.
And give accordingly, inshallah. But that all depends on if you guys actually
buy the hoodies. So, I think really what we want to make clear here is that we are keeping our intentions very pure.
The money's being resourced to the right places, and it's not going to the wrong intentions. Yeah. It's going towards this and this whole initiative.
Exactly. So the community, I really want to say, the youth community. Something that came to my mind is, the Google storage. We realized, Masarrat texted me the other day, and she's like, oh, actually, if we do make money off the hoodies, we also need to pay for Google storage.
As of right now, I've taken that on. It's not that bad, but we do need that because...
it's a smaller fee compared to, the sign that, the fee of the sign. But, I mean, at the end of the day, it's basically, us explaining that there is fees that do need to be covered. Yeah. And we just want to be transparent with you all.
And you guys, we want to be transparent with you guys, as she said. We always want to be honest with you guys about how this podcast runs and all that stuff. So
yeah. Well, thank you for
started.
Yeah,
that was a beautiful little start, and I hope you guys are just as excited as we are for these new steps that are coming with every episode of the podcast. I feel like something new comes out. Last episode was the hoodies. This episode was the sign. Now we're selling the hoodies. So I love that we're making progress, and it's all thanks to you guys and all the help we're getting from you guys.
Yes.
But before we start to the actual topic, as you guys know we always like to start off with the dua.
Yes.
So, Sakina, you
Let's
can
start
us
with
off
our
there.
dua that Prophet Musa has taught to us to recite. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli.
In the name of Allah, the most beneficent, the most merciful. My Lord, expand for me my chest, and ease for me my task, and untie the knot from my tongue, that they may understand my speech. This episode is New Year, New Me. Let's go into it.
Yeah, I think, I'll start with saying that statement I don't fully agree with, because I don't think that I can just wake up in the morning and be a total different person. I don't think that I could pick up new habits just as soon as I wake up. I think I've tried to, because that, type of mindset and the statement correlated in that mindset is, something that is often taught to us growing up, that, it's a new year, like, you can
get resolutions and start fresh and completely change yourself
Yeah.
for the 1st of January. And it's like, inshallah, everything will come together. But
what's the toxicity behind that, right? I think we're
there's
creating
a process. It can't just happen. There's a process.
And I think if we expect it to just happen, we're creating these expectations where we become disappointed in ourselves when we don't fulfill those goals within like the time constraints that we've set forth.
Yeah, so there's a step-by-step process that we should be going through, or like a process that we can make of our own to be able to get to this overall goal. And we should be working every day towards becoming this perfect expectation. Maybe instead of making a New Year's resolution of what I want to become on January 1st, we could say, this is what I want to learn and by December. Like, this is my goals of the type of person I would want to be in the next year or 2 years.
Yeah.
And then we work towards it instead of being like, this is to me tomorrow.
Exactly. And I think when we have less of an expectation that this is who I have to be, that we're able to live in the present moment and tell ourselves that who do I want to be? Because when there's that fear, that forceful expectation, this is who I have to be, like, I'm not saying discipline is not great, but it's more so don't use a fearful mindset that scares you into being a particular version of yourself. And that thought makes me connect back to something I wanted to mention, which was there's this funny thing in gym culture where often, people will come into the gym on January 1st and make it through until the first week and then they're out. And I think that comes from this fear that, if I miss a day, now like I clearly am not consistent, like I might have to try again next year. Or
That's
like
so sad.
Yeah. And I've simplified that whole thing very much right now, but it's that fearful mindset that pushes you away. And honestly, it happened to me too, right? And it is sad in that way because it makes you kind of distance away from the goals that you actually want, all because of this fear that's developed.
You're just so scared to mess up. And then once you mess up, you're like, well, I did it again. And then you're just like, okay, I'm going to try again next year if I can, that is. And then every year it just gets worse and worse because now you're like, I messed up the last 2 years. I'm probably going to mess up again.
And it sucks.
Then it's just, it's so sad because instead of picking yourself up immediately, you're picking yourself up a year later, which is like, really?
Which is what will bring us to the 12-week in a year mindset.
I remember this mindset you were telling me. It's actually very interesting.
It comes from a book. It's called The 12-Week Year, and it argues that we can develop a sense of urgency and focus to complete our specific tasks that get us closer to our long-term goals by looking at each year as 12 weeks. So instead of 12 months, it's 12 weeks.
I really like that. Because it's a smaller time frame, it's easier to be like, hey, I can complete 12 weeks. 1 year, 12 months is like, it's so broad. I'm like, so much can happen in 12 months.
Yeah.
But 12 weeks is like, okay, maybe I can achieve 12 weeks. And I think that actually helps so much because if your mindset is set to like, I can do this, you will be able to do it.
It's much more tangible.
Like a few minutes ago, we were saying that when we have this mindset that, hey, like, every year I mess up, I'm going to mess up again, you're more likely to mess up,
right.
But if you're telling yourself, hey, like, I'm going to be able to do this, 12 weeks, it's a small amount. As you were saying, it's more tangible. It's more handleable. 12 weeks is a smaller amount of time. So,
yeah, and I think that brings us to the benefits of planning because we would obviously be planning within this 12-week period that's obviously shorter, right, than compared to this 12 months. And when we look at planning, there's these specific benefits that come out of it. And I'll let you touch on that.
Yeah, so some of the benefits are planning allows you to think through the process and the best way to achieve your goals. So instead of just jumping into it and being like, this is my goal, if you plan it, you can kind of organize how you want to achieve this goal. One of the reasons why it's easier to plan ahead is because it saves a lot of time. Because if you're actually planning as you go, you're more likely to mess up throughout the process. So when you plan ahead, it saves a lot of time towards getting to the
along the way.
Yeah. So it's like I spent a day planning how I'm going to get there. Now I just follow the steps instead of trying to figure it out as I go.
I think I'm thinking of essays right now, because that's exactly the same way with essays. When you plan ahead and you have your quotes pulled out, your statements pulled out, you know that, okay, this is what I have to talk about. And then that way, when you actually come to writing the essay, you're able to pull everything out and put it together.
So like what I do is I go to the actual assignment document and I'll see all the requirements and I'll kind of I'll make another document where I put all the requirements. So I filled out all the, it's like have 3 quotes from this page, from this book. So I'll pick out what I want to say throughout my essay. So I'll be like, this part I'm going to talk about this, and then I'll pull out a quote and I'll put it in there. And then I'll just kind of expand on it. Yeah. And my essay becomes because I just expand on everything that I placed in already.
Yeah,
ideas.
It really works out that way.
And then just keep going. So that's like the same thing. You plan, and then you kind of go through with it.
And it just comes together.
Comes together so much easier.
And I could say the same even about creative methods that we could use to manifest these planned ideals into our lives. Like, for example, with vision boards, right? If you're planning everything and you know how it looks, and you're like, this is what my life looks like. And on that point, I actually want to mention that I don't mean to say that a vision board should scare you away, because sometimes I feel like it can do that if you put all these expectations of this is what my life looks like. But do it. I would suggest, if anyone wanted to try a vision board for this new year, to do it from a mindset where you're inspired rather than fearful of not achieving that type of life.
Optimistic, kind of, right? It's there. You have this optimism that Allah's gonna help me get this stuff. You kind of I don't know. It's it's planning your life. It's planning what you hope to get, what you're going to ask for. Maybe that's how you pray for things. You're like, hey, this is the things I want. I've kind of visioned the life. And of course, Allah's the planner, as we said in the last episode. So everything that comes together, we have to make sure we remember that whatever we get is the right thing for us.
Yeah.
And that's all, pre-planned. But if we sit down and we make this kind of these are my goals, and then we work towards asking Allah and working towards them, then it's a better way of getting to our final destination of the best version of ourselves.
Agreed. I think it's, the statement, we plan and he plans, really sticks with me.
That works perfectly here.
Yeah.
Because, we can it's not that Allah said don't make your own plans. Obviously, make plans of how you can better yourself and work towards it, but then just know in the back of your head that
He has all control over everything.
So in the end of the day, whatever happens is going to be his choice. But other than vision boards, what I do is I have a daily journal, bullet journal, where I kind of write out things. But it's less planning, more reflecting.
Okay.
But I think other than planning, to get to your goal, you should reflect on how something worked or something didn't work. And then instead of being I made this mistake, it's over, I'm not going to do this anymore. If you reflect and be like, hey, this is why this happened. Let me try to work away from it or work towards a better version of what I'm trying to do,
That's a really good point.
And then it makes it a little bit easier. So for me, bullet journaling is my way of doing that, because it's a very open book where I can kind of write anything or do anything. Sometimes I use it for planning. Sometimes I use it for reflecting. Whatever it is. But it gives me that opportunity to think about what has happened over the year or the months or the weeks and be like, this is what I wanted to do.
I think
this is how I can work towards it.
Yeah, I think that reflection is really important, because even in Islam, we're taught to reflect.
So something that I remember is one of the ways to worship that was recommended was reflecting on what we have and how we got everything. So one way to increase our belief in Allah and actually our tawakkul, honestly, is by thinking about where everything came from. And there's obviously a reasoning behind everything, and the way to get to that is by thinking about it. So one of the best ways to better ourselves or encourage us to, for example, learn, is to reflect, and is to be
Right.
like, hey, where did everything come from? Like, it's kind of a form of reflection. And then it ties in. So reflecting on ourselves, reflecting on what we have and how we got where we are.
And how our day went, the things that we did that went well, the things that didn't go so well.
Some things we could do to improve ourselves so that we can become better people, or like something that we know, reflecting on the things that are haram and why they're haram. Like, maybe I did something and then I reflect on it and I think about what effect it had overall. Like, there's so many things about reflection that are so important.
Yeah.
And that's like a pre of New Year, is reflect. And throughout the year, reflecting to better ourselves so that we can make this. It's like the planning, reflecting. It all kind of ties into
I was
each
about
other.
to say that I think, before we plan, we reflect is
Yes.
really the statement that could come out of everything that you just said. And I think you're completely right on that. For the sake of this episode, we want to look at our lives as if we do have these 12 weeks ahead of ourselves. So from January to the end of March, right? Masarat and I obviously have our own goals, and it's good to keep these goals private because we don't know, if what comes in the way, right?
Yeah.
There could always be hurdles that we face, and we don't have these confirmations that our goals will come true. However, I think it's still good to build that community and talk to the people that will be able to help us and support us through achieving our goals, right?
Yeah,
So having
definitely.
that correct social group that will support you in helping you achieve your goals for the year. I think that's really important.
Yep.
So in terms of planning, it's good to, create that social structure around yourself that will be able to help guide you toward achieving your goals. And
So both ways. Also keeping your goals to yourself so that you don't feel the extreme pressure, but also having those people around you that you can tell and be like, hey, like, I'm trying to work towards these goals. Let's work towards it together. Maybe they're also trying to work towards a similar goal. So there's like so many like aspects and things to look into.
Yeah. And
with our goals.
There's many categories for these different goals that we could have, right? Like if we were to divide our lives into different categories, there could be the spiritual side, there would be our religious side, and really religion is our way of life, right? So I would say everything does fall under Islam still.
Lifestyle in Islam, yeah.
Exactly. They're strengthening the mind and expanding our knowledge, improving our physical and health and well-being. We've just written a bunch of them here: breaking harmful habits,
these
building
are like-
strong relationships.
These are like some kind of New Year's resolutions that we can kind of look into having. And actually the first one I love because strengthening the mind and expanding knowledge in turn can help you figure out what things you want to improve in yourself. Because once you expand your knowledge, you'll kind of figure out what I have made, like what things I have that I need to fix about myself. So if you can't think of a New Year's resolution, expanding your knowledge will
Is the
help
perfect
you.
one.
Yeah, is the one.
Yeah.
That will help you, in turn, find a New Year's resolution for next year. Because once you've learned...
Not even
you'll
next
learn-
year. 'Cause-
Maybe before that. Oh, yeah, because we're going with the 3-month method. So within 3 months, you'll know, hey, these are the things I need to work on, and those will be your resolutions for the next 3 months.
Yeah.
Right? But going back into it, we have a bunch of different things that are resolutions that we think, as Muslim people, would actually, or in general, like, would
Even in
very
general,
be
yeah.
important to...
Yeah, to just improving ourselves. I think, just going into a little bit about each one, we can look at, improving health and well-being. That one is, we say commit to regular exercise, whether that is in terms of going to the gym or going for a walk, or even if it means stretching, right? Like that is improving your health and well-being.
Very important to have good physical health. As in Islam, it's actually very important. They say to like keep active because kind of just a way of life. Like you kind of just gotta keep yourself healthy, right? And
honestly, it helps with mental clarity as well, right?
there's a lot of like
there's a lot of benefits in staying healthy.
and staying healthy, and physical health is, it's like something that people don't really connect to Islam because they're like, hey, spirituality and then my physical human body, but
right,
they're
but it's
supposed
all
to be
intertwined.
one.
I have something that came to my mind actually. Right now I'm writing a paper and it roots basically into Islam and socialism, but I am going to state something that I wrote in this essay, and it goes, Islam was central to Arab political and social identity, creating a sense of belonging for all its followers. This is, by the way, in Arab world socialism. So within all these Arab states. This was because Islam's teachings cover every aspect of life, including politics and economics, making it suitable to shape political ideologies like socialism. So, it talks about how even though there was people that were non-Muslim at the time in these Arab states, they were still following these Islamic ideologies within socialism, and they would they would mix Quranic principles with socialist thought in order to govern the state. And so it shows how even though they're non-Muslim, they wanted to carry these Quranic principles on.
They were so real and they worked.
Yeah, they really work because Islam encompasses these different parts of our lives.
Yeah.
It's like we said, it's
everything.
it's not limited to, like Islam is just about being religious and praying and thanking God, but that is one part of it, and obviously it's the backbone of it, where you're praying to God because God has given us everything we have and our livelihood comes from it. But Islam allows us to encompass our life to become successful in our lives.
Yeah. It really shows how Islam has guidance for everything, for our lives, for our spirituality, for everything in general. It's like it is a lifestyle. It is.
Yes.
Quran is the book of divine guidance. Our goal is to teach youth that there are Islamic teachings that can help us with everything. Because Islam, as now that you've stated, Islamic is a lifestyle.
And I think it's helping us throughout the way as well, where we just begin to realize that there's all these different, and I'm having a little bit of deja vu right now because you've said this before, that, we just look at Islam when we are struggling in life and the answers are there.
But then, in general, all the time, we should always just be looking at, because it can teach us how to solve issues, but it can also teach us how to go through life.
Exactly.
And
avoid issues
how
too.
to plan.
Yeah.
All the steps to planning is in Islam.
Planning a good life, and good has so much, essence to it, really.
Yeah.
By good can mean different for everyone, but obviously a good life for Muslims is to be living by the word of God.
Yeah. And in order to be able to do that, I wanted to go back to our first one, which was expanding knowledge. So it's really important for us to deepen our understanding in Islamic knowledge, because that way we can learn the teachings that can help us plan. So studying tafsir, fiqh, and hadiths, all of these things have the answers. If you want to teach yourself, reading books, like Islamic books about different topics, or any books in general, reading is really important in Islam.
And I think even just, coming to the Quran, that is a book in itself that I feel like we could read over and over and over again, and it'll always offer us comfort, and it will always offer us more knowledge, because
always, there's never
it's literally living to us.
Yeah, it's living for our guidance.
Yeah, exactly.
And that will really help us in strengthening our faith and growing spiritually.
One of the final things that we wanted to touch on that we can all improve on this next 12 months, the next 12 weeks, actually, I meant to say, but, looking at our goals as more tangible.
We've been brainwashed into thinking the 12-month method works, but it's the 12-week method.
Yeah, because always looking at your goals a little bit smaller, and, it allows you to structure and plan, because if I see my 12 weeks that are tangible, I'll be like, okay, I can do a little bit of this and that. It's more specific planning, right?
Yeah.
So if I were going to look at the 12 months, I'd have this broad goal. Like, I want to, and what I was about to touch on was social responsibility. So if I were to look at 12 months down the road, I would probably tell myself, I want to improve my social responsibility and be more active in social justice. But that's so broad.
Yeah.
Right? And if I look at it as 12 weeks now, or even if I want to narrow it down even more than that and be like, okay, this month, the way that I'm going to focus on my social responsibility is by, and then whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
It's more specific.
So you're able to pinpoint exactly what you're trying to do instead of having the whole idea. Right?
And within the 12-week method, actually, when you go into the book, it actually discusses how you would have these specific goals for and habits, that you would develop throughout the week. And so those weekly habits will then allow you to be able to reach that 12-week goal.
Yes.
But yeah, so in terms of social responsibility, we believe that it is very important for us to all be involved with some sort of social justice in this
Some
world.
sort of
There's
advocacy.
yeah, there's always, something or the other that we can be a part of and have a voice in, and whether that's in terms of art or poetry, spoken word, talking to your friends, posting on social
Sharing it,
media.
anywhere. It's, word of mouth, anything. Like she already said those
Yeah.
things, but putting in that effort to advocate for the messages that need to be spread in the current situation. So obviously right now our biggest thing is with Palestine, Lebanon, Syria, everywhere that's struggling. So those are the things that we're trying to advocate for.
It's important for us to also be truthful with ourselves, and even with, when I say with ourselves, I mean in terms of the friend groups that we're in. We need to know that, okay, do these people agree with who the oppressors are in the world? Do these people stand up for the Muslim community, for the oppressed people? Or are they just people that I hang out with and just have fun
Being
with?
aware of your
Because
friend group is part of the social responsibility.
there's sometimes this fear that's built around, like, I don't want to get into politics with my friends. It's not about staying away from politics, but look at it as those politics are impacting people's lives and are hurting people. And if it's hurting people, you should ask your friends to talk about it. And if they don't feel inclined to, then that's a problem. It's your social responsibility to know who you surround yourselves with. And if you do choose to surround yourself around people that, don't want to talk about it, try to understand why they don't want to talk about it.
Maybe help them learn. Maybe they just need some education of some sort and guide them towards being able to, or maybe they just don't know the methods. Just be like, hey, put it up on social media. That's it. Like, you can make an effort. Little by little, they'll work towards finding a bigger, better way to advocate. But you can start them and you can help them and guide them towards that process.
Even small discussions. Very important for us to all take our part and do our part. And whether that means we're sharing what's happening around the world in terms of injustices on social media, or if it means we're expressing it through forms of art and expression via maybe poetry or art, like in terms of drawing. It could be in different ways that we, support the oppressed and those that are less privileged.
Absolutely.
And that starts with even in our own communities, like people who are in need and maybe homeless, or those who go to food drives because they need food. Maybe your social responsibility is going to be start putting food in the food drives, right? But that social responsibility should be increased throughout.
We should be working towards it. And another thing I was thinking of is just even starting up conversations with the people around you. That's a small little, it's not even a small thing, because word of mouth spreads. So if you start somewhere, it'll keep going.
Definitely.
And I liked that one of giving in food drives and giving charity, and all these things are just part of our social responsibility. And it's really important. That's something that we should think about in the new year, because I think that's something that people miss in the new year, that my goal should be to be more socially responsible.
Yeah.
For today, I think closing off on the note of social responsibility is the perfect way to just keep that in your minds.
Yeah.
That's strong in there.
And Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Yay.
This time around. This year brings Haqq Project with us.
Yeah.
With this year comes with a whole new, like for us, we didn't expect last January that this was going to be something that was going to come in.
Definitely.
So
It was by surprise and by the grace of Allah.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
Very happy.
Well,
But
yeah.
Thank you so much for tuning in again for episode 3. That's insane. We're 3 episodes in. That's to think about the fact that we were just thinking about the first episode and now we're at the 3rd episode. It's kind of like, but next thing you know, we're going to be at 20 and we're going to be like,
Inshallah.
that's insane. But yeah, alhamdulillah, I'm very excited.
Don't forget that we have some merch that you could purchase just in the description in the YouTube video. And if I'm able to edit it in, I will add the link here. I'm figuring this out. Wait, I think like right
Which
here.
side, right there?
Yeah, this way.
Okay, that
So
side.
I'm going to try to add, I'm working on my little editing skills. I think that's one of
She's
my
doing
little New
wonderful.
Year's.
We are so proud of Sakina because
Thank you.
all the edits are her. and they're going amazing. And I love how the podcast turns out in the end every single time.
Thank you. You know, I would love to do a little bit more fun editing, but you know, when we're always on a time constraint.
Yeah,
because we're trying to get episodes monthly.
Guys, I promise.
We're trying to, you know, be more engaging, but it was exam season for us. So, you know, but alhamdulillah, we still got some reels out. We still managed to get the episode out, and we'll get this one out too. And it'll be January 1st.
Yeah. Wow, thank you so much.
And we'll see you guys next time.
Bye,
Hafiz.
guys. Hafiz.